Something I don't like in video games is where the main villain is brought into the game right at the end, just to give the player a story-based final boss battle. So you can imagine how royally pissed off I was when I got to the end of Skyward Sword. You see and hear small glimpses of this ultimate evil, and you actually have to fight off a form of this evil in the form of the Imprisoned, one of the worst boss fights in the series, 3 separate times. But right at the end, Demise, the ultimate demon king himself, is revived and presented as a final boss. There is very little build-up, he has a very plain backstory, and the fight against him was mostly disappointing. However, he does get major points for looking totally badass, one of the coolest villain designs in the entire series, a half-decent personality, and for the final battle with him having some pretty good atmosphere. But other than that, he was a major letdown at the end of the game. Bellum is a strange case. It takes on the form of a demon squid, and it attacks the Ocean King, Oshers, and consumes life force, an energy found in all living things, to become stronger. This leads it to create the Ghost Ship, in order to lure treasure hunters to it and obtain their life force, a fate that comes with Tetra at the start of the game. Its motives are pretty vague, and it's really lacking in any sort of personality due to its animalistic appearance. However, I still maintain that it has one of the more interesting final battles in the series, taking place in the depths of the Temple of the Ocean King, fighting on the Ghost Ship itself, and then fighting Bellum on the deck of the broken up Ghost Ship. And for a boss whose name is Latin for war, it's a fitting end. Hey, I like the Oracle games, shut up. Veran is, on the face of it, a fairly bland villain. Her main goal is to get the Black Tower in the past version of Labrina to reach the heavens to, I don't know, take over Heaven 2 maybe? She's also trying to resurrect Ganon. Don't worry, there's a lot of that on this list. It definitely won't get annoying by the time this list is over. But it's how she does it that I have to admire. She has the ability to possess anyone she wants, and possesses Naru in order to cause some chaos in the past and to get that damn tower built, basically. She's also weak to mystery seeds for some reason, which I found to be pretty funny first time, and the fights with her are kinda clever too. She's certainly a damn sight better as a villain than the generic and dull piece of pig shit that is Onyx. I'll be blunt. As a part of the plot, Dark Link is probably the weakest villain on here. In the games he has appeared in, he's either been a boss of little significance or in the case of Zelda 2, a final challenge stuck on at the end. But as a gameplay element, it's a stroke of genius. Being Link's direct shadowy equal, he is far from a pushover and is home to some of the best gameplay moments in the entire series. The mini-boss battle with him in Ocarina of Time is my favourite mini-boss in the series, and the optional battle at the end of Take 'Em All On in Spirit Tracks is a fantastically even fight. Quite simply, Link's perfect equal. Vaati is one of the more interesting backstories in the series, and it's probably this that gets him this high. He once lived in the Minish world as an apprentice to Eslo, that hat thing on Link's head. Vaati then grew interested by evil and dark things and used a magic cap to grant his wishes, transforming into a sorcerer and turning Eslo into a hat. But unfortunately, that's where the good stuff runs out. His motives are fairly weak if I'm honest, and his personality is so cliched that it's almost a joke. He wants to take over the world of Hyrule and obtain absolute power. Nothing more, nothing less. Just lots of power and genuinely ruling over people. But thankfully, the final battle is pretty sweet. It's kinda disappointing that Agahnim doesn't get the credit he deserves. He came forward in Hyrule's hour of need in order to gain the king's trust. He then used his lofty position and his powerful sorcery to brainwash all of Hyrule's soldiers and take over Hyrule. He traps the 6 maidens in the Dark World and captures Zelda, also sending her to the Dark World. Once he is beaten by Link in the Light World, he takes Link with him to the Dark World. It's later revealed that this previous servant of Ganon actually turns out to be Ganon's alter ego, an interesting take on what is usually a cliché within the series. His immense powers mean that Link can't attack him directly, and he really is a persistent force of nature. His desires and his skill illustrates that he usually gets what he wants, and it's his unrelenting will that puts him at number 5. A dark plot usually means 2 things, a mysterious and also insane to the point of being disturbing villain. And Zant delivers in spades. The self-proclaimed King of the Twilight, Zant hates how the Twilight are left in the Twilight Realm and looks for a possible solution to this problem. In meeting the banished Ganon, he is given great power, which he then uses to overthrow Midna, invade Hyrule Castle, and engulf most of Hyrule in twilight. In an attempt to stop him, the few shadows are gathered by Link and Midna. And what does Zant do? Steals them, exposes Midna to pure light, and leaves her for dead. That is awesome! In order to destroy him, Link and Midna gather up the pieces of the Mirror of Twilight, that Zant himself destroyed in order to stop people from pursuing him into the Twilight Realm. Here, once in the Twilight Realm, Zant's personality drastically changes, and he goes absolutely insane due to his powerful obsession with power. Think about it, have you ever seen someone who is so calm and looks like they have the answers to everything, lose it, because they haven't got the answer to everything? That is Zant. The fight with him is one of the most creative and clever fights in the series, and really brings home his insanity. Psychotic and badass. You don't mess with Zant. Can't leave him out, can I? The guy that started it all, Ganon has been in 9 games in the series, in one form or another, and is the main villain of the series. He is the leader of the Gerudos, and due to his immense dark power, became the first to enter the Sacred Realm and claim the Triforce. With this added power, he took over the Sacred Realm and plunged it into darkness. Personally, I think his shining moment came in Wind Waker, as it is one of the first moments that we actually see his motives behind his hunger for power. His harsh life in the Gerudo deserts leads him to take revenge on the beautiful and enviable lifestyle of those who live in Hyrule, and to turn the world into a dark, sinister place. He's also a damn good swordsman and is part of some of the best moments in the whole series. But I can't just help to think that Ganon is sometimes forced into the plots of some games in the series, Twilight Princess being one of the games that comes to mind where he's actually only introduced in the latter stages. I mean, in Oracle of Ages and Seasons, the whole of the 2 games together, 2 villains working for Twin Rover to do what? Bring Ganon back to life! It's just a little bit uncreative and unimaginative at times, to be honest. Yes, I've only just gone and put Majora above Ganon, another sign of my love for Majora's Mask. But listen, that is not why I love Majora so much as a villain. In fact, Majora is one of the reasons why I love Majora's Mask so much. Majora is one of the most evident representations of how dark this game really is. Being a mask, there is no sense of emotion, and no clear signs that this thing is human. As a result, it makes Majora very unrelatable in comparison to human-like villains like Ganon and Veran. Its origins are hazy at best, but Majora's Mask was used by an ancient tribe in bewitching rituals, but it was sealed away due to its incredible power. Now in the hands of Skull Kid, it takes control of him, and causes him to curse and prank various characters in the game. But it's only when Majora's Mask is detached from Skull Kid that we really see its true evil. It's a strange combination of the bone-chillingly threatening and the what the fuck is this insanity, the best example being the final battle of it. The first form is pretty damn imposing, but Majora's incarnation is just wow. And Majora's Mask, the third and final form, is a combination of both of these traits into an exquisite super evil. It's the ultimate villain, no gloating, no cockiness, just getting on with it in its own daunting fashion. It's a pretty creepy villain as it shows no emotion, not even much aggression. It almost feels like it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't care. You don't stand a chance against this thing. That's a hallmark of a great villain. Just Ghirahim. A complaint that I had for a long time was that Legend of Zelda villains were threatening, but still pretty bland as a villain. This was somewhat overturned by Zant, but his interesting personality only came later in the game. At the other end of the spectrum, there's Ghirahim. This is more like it. Ghirahim is what Kefka is to Final Fantasy, this completely batshit insane villain that is as flamboyant as he is menacing. His main objective is to capture Zelda in order to use her power to revive his master, who thank f*** is not Ganon for a change. He's beaten by Link no less than 3 times, has his master destroyed in the present by a giant statue, fails to stop Zelda from going through the Gate of Time, and despite all of this, he has enough determination to get what he wants in the end. Oh, and he's just really entertaining to watch and listen to as well. The only complaint that I do have with Ghirahim is that even though he is displayed as this crazy and volatile character, the fights with him never show this. He's just so restrained in how he attacks you. Maybe this just shows how confident he is that he can gradually walk towards you. But I'm nitpicking. Ghirahim is exactly what the Zelda series needed. A villain that just takes the relatively bland formula that is a Zelda villain and just throws it out the window, follows it out the window, and runs off singing while pumping his arms up and down. He is a fantastic villain, and by far my favourite Zelda villain. This has been rabbidluigi, and have a fabulous day!
I will massacre you! I will f*** you up!